Hello, is this Jillian Clarke?
It is, yes.
This is do you want my account reference number or anything?
Yes, please.
2 seconds. Sorry. Say that again, sorry.
If you've got your account number to hand, that would be great. But if not, I can take your postcode and house number.
No, I've got the account number. The account number is 7.
Okay. So how can I help you today?
Well, I've got a letter from you, you see.
Okay.
Do you know who I am?
I do remember. I did leave a message for you the other day.
Well, really, you was meant to ring me back on the Monday between 2 and 3 o'clock. I spoke to Narinda, and you didn't ring me back, and then you rung me back the day after, but you only rung for 3 calls, and when I tried to ring you back to that number, it was putting me through to some promotion thing.
No, I did call you back that day and I left a message for you.
The day after?
I called you back the same day. I called you back just right on 2:30.
Well, what I'll do is then, if that's the case, then when I'm making a complaint to the ICO, I'll get my phone records and I'll supply that phone call, because you rung me back the day later.
Okay. How can I help anyway?
Well, I just wanted to speak to you about this letter that you found.
Yeah?
You've sent me this letter saying, you've logged this letter under the Ombudsman reference, and I don't know why you've put it under the Ombudsman reference. This is a subject access request, and this request is with Roddy Badder. It's not with anybody. Roddy Badder is the data processor. He's got a duty to explain to me why he won't supply me my data. You're not letting me speak to him. They've passed me to customer relations to you, and I don't know why I'm dealing with customer relations. I should be dealing with somebody from the subject access request team. I tried to speak to Narinda to pass me to the team, and she wouldn't. And also, I've been passed to you, and I don't understand why I'm dealing with customer relations again.
They passed it to me because obviously I was the last person to deal with you with regards to the Ombudsman complaint.
This is not an Ombudsman complaint. This is a subject access team complaint. My complaint will be done over the weekend. I'm trying to give Roddy Badder. I've got to give him a chance to explain to me why he won't provide me the data, why you've got misleading data against me, which is a data breach. This is a data protection complaint. It's got nothing to do with customer relationship team. I should not have been speaking to you. You've put an ombudsman number on this letter, and this is an ICO complaint. I'm waiting to report you to the ICO for the data that you've got on me, and for the fact that you've passed my details to a third party out the country without my consent. This has got nothing to do with the customer relationship, so I don't know why I'm speaking to you.
I should be.
I don't want to. Sorry, listen.
Tell me what's happened, and I can certainly make sure that gets dealt with for you.
Well, it's this simple. My complaint is simple. I've put it in. I gave him 21 days to respond to me. He hasn't responded to me. They've put me onto you. Roddy Badder, do you know anything about the Data Protection Act of 2018?
Yeah.
Well, then you'll understand that Roddy Badder is the data. He's the data processor. He's got a duty to respond to me. You may be the data controller, SSE, but he's the data processor. And my complaint will be personally about this guy refusing, not your company, this guy. Because he's the one refusing to give me this data. And listen, this letter.
So what data is that you're looking for?
Well, why do you need the data I'm looking for? I've sent you the letter. This shouldn't even be with customer relations. This should be with the subject access team. I shouldn't even be speaking to you. You've got no knowledge of this.
Okay, well, if you tell me what data it is that you're missing, because I know there was a subject access request sent to you.
Hang on a sec.
Tell me what data is missing.
Hang on a sec. The point I'm trying to make is, I've already supplied Roddy Badder this data. I don't need to supply it to you again. I shouldn't even be speaking to you.
I can't help you if you can't tell me what's wrong.
What it is, I don't want any help from you. I want to speak to somebody from the subject access requiem or Roddy Badder.
You don't speak to customers directly. It's the advisors that will speak to you, and they will pass that information on to them.
Well, according to your letter, it says here, while I note the content of your letter, we have nothing further to add. I haven't sent a letter to you, so what are you talking about?
Well, you don't have sent a letter in.
To Roddy Badder, subject access team. I did not send a letter to Jill Clarke of Customer Relationships. You've put, while I know the content of your letter, we have nothing further to add. Any further correspondence regarding the same issue will be filed for information and not responded to. What has this got to do with customer relations? when I'm making a subject access request to the subject access team to a person who sent me my subject access. This is data protection. This is nothing to do with customer relationship. You've put an ombudsman reference number on the top of this letter. I don't get why I'm even speaking to you, Jill.
Just give us a moment. Let me just have a wee look at the letter.
It wasn't a letter. It was like a letter to Roddy Badder, not to you. Take your time, Jill, no rush. Don't rush yourself.
I apologise.
No, take your time. Take as long as you need, sweetheart.
Just trying to get it loaded up now.
No, seriously, I don't mind holding. Take as long as you need to have a look. No, seriously, don't apologise. You're doing a job. You take as long as you need.
So the letter that I responded to was addressed to myself.
No, it wasn't addressed to yourself. So I don't say. I mean, that's a complete lie. Do you know what I mean?
It says, "Dear FNG Jill Clarke," and we received it on the 12th of June 2020.
No, I'm not. This is not the letter. I'm about the subject access request. The letter I've sent to you about the court action is nothing to do with. I'm trying to.
That's what I responded to. I've not responded to anything regarding the subject access.
Well, yes. Well, when I spoke to Narinda, I says, "Can you put me through to the subject access? Because we can't put you through to the subject access screen. All I can do is refer it to Jill Clarke." I'm going. I don't want to spill to Jill Clarke. I want to speak to Roddy Badder. This is data. This is nothing to do with the subject access. Now, I will need to speak to somebody from the subject access team because my complaint is this simple. I'll explain to you. You have got data which is that you've passed to a third party out of the country. That's my complaint. You won't supply me with the data that you've supplied to them because I'm trying to bring a court case against, well, not SSE because it doesn't exist. That's not real. I'll bring a case against people personally. And Roddy Badder is the data processor in this, and that's quite serious. And I'm reporting a data breach, and I'm reporting a data breach personally against this person, not against you, unless you're accepting liability for what's going on here.
So what person do you think we've provided your data to?
I have sent you a letter and I'll discuss this. You've sent me my subject access request. In my subject access request, you're holding inaccurate information on your subject access request in the paperwork that you've got. You've got a report that says that I'm violent and I don't have mental and I'm not vulnerable. When I am vulnerable and I'm not violent. And that's holding you've got inaccurate information on your system. And that's classed as a Data Protection Act violation. You've also then passed my details to a third party without my consent, without a deed of novation, without a deed of assignment, because you haven't sold the debt. So you've just passed my details without my consent, and that's against the law. That's breach of the 2000. That's a data breach against the 2018 DPA regulations. And at the minute, my complaint, I'll be pulling all this on Roddy Badder unless you're telling me that you're accepting liability for what I've just said. Is that what you're saying, Jill? You're accepting liability?
No, I'm not saying that. I need to find out obviously more so I can pass it on to them to investigate.
Well, this is simple. I'm waiting to bring the case. My plan was to write the case again over the weekend and submit it on Monday. You won't give me a chance to speak to this Roddy Badder. So all I can do is By this letter, from the letter I've got for you, it sounds to me like you're accepting responsibility for not providing me doctors because you've got nothing further else to add. So now my complaint to the ICO will now be twofold. One against you for not providing me the documents, and one against Roddy Badder for not providing me the documents. And that's quite a serious thing. And now I won't be making the complaint against SSE. I'll be making it against you personally.
Okay.
And Roddy Badder. So you won't let me engage with you.
Okay.
You just put... Go on.
Contact details on the letter from with the subject access request?
Say that again, sorry.
Was on the letter from the subject access team when they sent you the subject access request?
Yeah.
Was there contact details for them on there?
Yep, I've sent the letter. So I don't even know why I'm speaking to you. I've tried to speak to the subject access request team, and I was denied by Narinda about 4 times. I've got the phone call recorded. So, you know what I mean, that'll be going to the ICO as well. So she denied me access to speaking to the subject, and she says, I can only pass you to you. So I don't know why I've been passed to you. You're customary relations. You're nothing to do with the subject access team. I need to speak to Roddy Badder because he's the data processor. He's responsible for this data.
He's not going to speak to you, unfortunately.
So he's not going to speak to you?
You can pass me the information. I will speak to the team and see what we can do for you.
Well, to be fair, Jill, you didn't get back to me when you said, I've got my phone records, I'll be providing them. You phoned me a day later, so you've already lied to me. So I don't have much faith in you. So, what do you suggest I do now? Because my complaint is being put, I'm going to put it together over the weekend against Roddy Badder. You're telling me now that he's point blank refusing to speak to me in a subject access matter.
They don't speak to customers, they only deal with internal advisors.
Well, he's the data processor, so you might want to look that up. Do you understand the difference between do you understand what a data processor is? Or a data handler? Do you understand the responsibility of the data? Hello?
Yeah.
Do you understand what a data handler is, the position of him? He's in charge, he's responsible for my data, and it's a regulation. So for you saying he won't speak to me, he has to speak to me because he's the one who's prepared all this. He's responsible for it. SSE may be the data controller and they're sort of liable, yeah, but he's personally responsible for this data, not SSE, him. And if you might want to warn him that I'll be making, if I don't get a response to what I've said, my complaint will be against him personally, against you, because you are the person who's sending this letter. You're not providing me documents. You've got nothing further to add to a data.
We don't have anything further to add to you.
To a SARS request where I've said you won't provide me the data. You do have something further to add, Jill.
Okay.
And I just want to ask you something else about your letter. This letter that you've sent, this is not your signature, is it?
Sorry?
This is not your signature on this letter, is it?
I'm working from home at the moment, so I had to get someone to print it off in the office for me, so no, it won't be my signature, but it is from me.
I'd just like to point something out to you. The fact that you put a letter on it, and I understand how the law works. When you put your name and no signature, it makes neither one of you liable, because it has to have a name and a signature. So without your signature on this letter, it's not valid. So I'd like to know who's this signature on this letter, because I can't read it. Because you meant to type.
It doesn't matter who it's from, it's signed, it is from myself, the letter.
Well, why is it you've not signed it then?
Because I'm working from home at the moment, and I'm not in the office, and I don't have access to the printer. I've got to send it into the office to get someone to print it.
I'm just pointing out. I mean, like, let's say you get a lot of these. Let's say I'm just pointing out to I know what you do by you signing, by you printing it and signing it. So are you accepting liability for this letter?
Well, the letter that I sent you saying there was nothing further to add, yes.
So you accepting liability for not providing me the documents that I've asked for? Are you accepting?
There's nothing further to add. Your complaint has been investigated by the Ombudsman.
No, I'm not.
We have nothing further to add.
Let me stop you there, Jill. This is not an Ombudsman complaint. I think you're getting a little bit mixed up here. This is an SAO. The Ombudsman is nothing to do with the subject access. The ICO and the Ombudsman are two different governing bodies, yeah?
Yes.
Well, then it's completely different. So why are you responding to me to something that's nothing to do with what I've said? This is to do with Roddy Badder and not supplying me information.
Well, I will speak to the data protection team.
I want to speak to the data protection team.
Yeah, well, I don't think they will speak to you, but I will speak to them and see what I can do.
Hang on a sec. What do you mean they won't speak to me? It's a subject access request. It's a subject access request team.
And they sent you a subject access request.
Yes, but you've still haven't sent me. You've still got data that you haven't supplied me, and you've still got inaccurate data on your systems. So it's not over, is it?
Okay, so you tell me exactly what data it is you're looking for.
I've sent it to Roddy Badder. This is why I shouldn't be talking to you. This is what I mean. I should be talking to somebody from the subject access trust because I've
Did you send that to Roddy?
Sorry, say that again.
When did you send that?
It's sent recorded delivery. You signed for it. I sent it together when you got this letter. I've got a recorded delivery slip. You signed for it.
Okay.
Listen,
When was that sent?
I ain't got the slip in front of me, but it would have been sent the same time you had your letter. I sent them together in the same envelope. I recorded and videoed it just to make sure, because I know what line sods you lot am, so it's all videoed. Like I said, it's not my first rodeo, Jill. I do this all the time. If you're going to lie to me, you better be really good. You better be able to back the lies up, and quite frankly, you can't.
Okay, so I don't have anything further to add.
I'm not a mister.
I don't think we're getting anywhere.
No, well, we are getting somewhere, because I want a response now. I'm asking you.
Okay, and I said I will speak to the data protection team.
And when will you be getting back to me like this as well?
I've spoken to them, I will get back to you.
When?
Well, as soon as I've been able to speak to them.
You know what I'll do is...
I'll give you an exact time, because it depends on how long...
What I'll do to you is... What I'll do to you, it's simple. I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm glad you've accepted liability for not providing me the doctors. I was going to make the complaint against everybody bad in there, but you're the one taking responsibility for not providing me these documents or answering these questions. Is that correct?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you tell me exactly what documents it is you're looking for, then I can...
I'm looking for somebody who's responsible, you see. See, I can't make a claim against SSE because it's not real. It doesn't exist. It's a
fiction. What do you mean it's not real and it doesn't exist?
Have you seen SSE? What is SSE, a man or a woman? Can you take it to lunch? Can you speak to it?
What's the company?
Yeah, it's a dead entity. It's not real. It's like Santa Claus, Mother Goose. It's made up. But the people who issue these things are real. That's why I was asking you about your signature on this now.
I'm going to end this call now.
Well, you can end the call, but all I'm saying is I'm making a complaint against you personally. Okay.